one of the complaints I hear from Republicans, and maybe there's truth to this, is that there was so much in this bill, instead of doing it one at a time or a group at a time, that a lot of the benefits are lost on the American public. But they're starting to see it, aren't they?
They are. I mean, it made it easier to invest in creating jobs in the United States. It made it easier for people who work on tips. It helped people on Social Security. It reduced tax rates for every single taxpayer in the country. I mean, it's over and over and over again. One of the things that's going to happen as a result is that a lot of people are going to get a bigger refund than usual, because when they did no tax on tips, people aren't necessarily certain exactly how that was going to happen. They didn't perhaps start planning their taxes and so on, but they're going to find out that starting on January 19th of this year, okay, that's when all of these wonderful low tax efforts began. And so people are going to find they owe less taxes than I expected, and that's going to be quite a nice number. If you worked on taxes, tips rather, and there are no taxes on tips up to $25,000, this means that all the way back till next year, tips you got, January 20th of this year on through are deductible. That's true whether you're an independent contractor or an employee. It's true whether you file and take deductions or file with a standard deduction. You get that above the line. So it is a wonderful collection of lower taxes that are now permanent, by the way. The changes this year are permanent out into infinity. Unless the Democrats take over the country, you will be protected against those tax hikes.
Yeah, unless somebody comes in that wants more taxes, which one side now seems to like that a lot more than the other. The president this week, a couple of times here in Washington, suggesting the idea that that's just a nice start. He says income tax should become a thing of the past. What would that do to the economy?
Well, we didn't always have an income tax. Back at the turn of the century, we did not raise money from income taxes. We raised money from tariffs. We raised money from selling land. We could get back into the business of selling. A good chunk of the of everything west of the Mississippi is owned by the federal government and therefore not put to use. We don't use it effectively. We don't let people build houses on it, which is one of the problems in the West in particular, where it's difficult to get housing that's not terribly expensive. All of these things we could do to sell more land, to reduce the income tax. But the most important thing we can do to reduce the income tax is to reduce government spending. When we got the income tax, all this lovely money came in, and the politicians started thinking, well, it's our money now, let's spend it.
It's interesting. You mentioned all that land in the Western United States that's government, federal government land. That was never part of the Constitution. Every other state east of the Mississippi, when they became a state, they got the land. But not Wyoming, not Montana, not the Dakotas, not Utah, not Arizona. Why? What happened? Because that is a big deal.
It is, and I think it's clearly unconstitutional. The agreement when the states, we started 13 states, and then they realized, we're going to have more states than just 13. At first, they were thinking of just running North Carolina all the way across to the Pacific, and that'd be North Carolina. No. We're going to have many states, and the promise was all new states come in with the same rules as the first 13. They all get 2 senators, those sorts of things. And all the 13 states, what did they got? They got all the federal land to the state, and for the state to be able to distribute it to individuals or to sell it to individuals. When we got past the Mississippi, they stopped doing that. And then, of course, everything from North Carolina down to Texas was federal land, and they said, this is wrong. And then they gave it to those states, but they never made the fix for all of the big western states with so much land.
That's right.
So our court cases coming on this, that may change.